Guys, we just got earnings. Holy crap. NIO CEO said profitable by 2026. Absolutely amazing. Of course, the expectations for earnings was in line with what I expected. 2.6 billion US dollars in revenue. SG&A costs did increase because of Envo store deployment, and total net losses around 700 million US dollars. But first of all, let's go into what was said. Very, very important stuff. So here's everything that NIO CEO said during the earnings call summarized right now. But before we get started, make sure you sign up with moomoo. You get 15 free stocks and you can get 8.1% APY. Links down below. So first thing NIO CEO said, in October, they realized about 16,000 RMB in cost savings per unit because of incentive reduction. Even though that hurted demand temporarily, demand has recovered. And then he also talked about how Envo actually only had a 2% cannibalization rate. So people who were not ordering a NIO, canceling their NIO order, only 2% said it was because they're buying an Envo. So there's actually not that much cannibalization according to their internal research. Now, on the topic of production ramp up, he said, because Envo L60 uses newest technology and platform, there's lots of new processes and new production methods. The ramp up takes time, but the ramp up does meet their own expectations. And they are expecting 10K deliveries for Envo by the third month, which is December. And he talked about how recently there has been a temporarily decrease in demand for Envo simply due to the fact that some people place their orders late and they will not get their car before the end of this year. And there are some local subsidies that they might not be able to enjoy on time. So there are some cancellations because of this. So the cancellations that are happening right now, 50 to 60% is because of this, not being able to get the government subsidies on time. Now, Q4 margins on NIO brand can get up to 15% and get to 20% in 2025, which is absolutely spectacular. The operating cost and SG&A increased a lot because of Envo sales network increase. In Q4, this will also increase because the stores will go from 190 up to 300 by the end of the year. So they're going to increase in SG&A. That's to be expected. And also R&D, they said later on in the call that R&D expenses will also increase. So we can sort of expect losses might also increase, but they are getting more profitable, okay? Relatively speaking. So March 20K monthly target, they will keep improving sales capacity, and SG&A will also increase until they get to a decent amount of production, 20,000 per month. And then they also have Firefly coming along in 2025. Now, when it comes to EU tariff, their target for EU is more to build up the sales network and brand recognition. And on top of tariffs, Norway is unaffected. So tariffs won't have an impact on their sales in Norway. And then they talked about how early margin right now for Envo is low due to incentives, but at 20,000 per month delivery volume, the single vehicle margin can be in the positive single digits. But overall margins will get to 10% as they reach 20,000 per month, and then they target 15% for Envo. Very, very nice. Now, someone asked about the second generation of cars upgraded to the third generation for the ET5, ET5T, ES6 for second half of 2025. And the CEO said the NIO brand will transition to a new platform. Some will be existing models upgraded to Gen 3. Envo will also have two SUVs launched next year. One is a 6-7-seater and one is a large 5-seater. And it will compete against the Li Auto L7 and L8. And they have very strong cost measures for these cars, and they are very confident. And they are very confident overall with the sales increase in 2025, which is very nice. The Firefly is also the brand name and car name of that new sub-brand, which will launch next year. And it will also be a new growth phase. And the CEO is very confident about a 100% year-over-year sales increase, which is absolutely spectacular. Now, Q3 margin improvements were from battery and parts cost improvements. So as they go along, they're going to have even better optimizations to improve margins. And they are expecting margins to improve even better in Q4. And it's all thanks to production numbers. They're producing more, they're able to improve margins. In Q4, they expect positive rate cash flow, positive growth in operating cash flow, and additional funding when it comes to raising money or dilution. Additional funding is not needed, but will depend on the market. So, for example, the recent NIO China funding was more because the government chased down William Li and said, hey, we wanted to invest, and not in the sense that William Li needed money. All right, it's more like the government wanted to invest. So sales are the most important going forward. Once they start seeing stable sales after ramp up, they are very confident in increasing sales with optimized margins, lower cost, and increase efficiency. As sales increase, losses will decrease gradually, and 2026 will be break even and profitable for NIO, according to the CEO. That is their target right now. With Envo and Firefly, there's a lot of growth potential. Now, because of the EU tariffs, NIO with tariffs there are at the price of a Porsche. So it doesn't really make sense for NIO to, really push forward there. But what they said is a very great growth opportunity is for Envo and Firefly to grow there. And here in China, Envo relies on NIO swap stations, but abroad across the world, it will be the actual opposite. So Envo will be able to grow faster there, and then NIO will actually rely on those Envo swap stations, which is very interesting. And then he talked about even though there are some cancellations due to subsidies ending at the end of this year, the test drive conversion rate for Envo is very, very high, even higher than NIO. So this tells you that once people take a test drive of the Envo car, right, most people actually pull the trigger and buy this car, and they are very confident with the overall demand of L60. So you have a very good product that just really checks all the boxes. And they also talked about how the number one the biggest consumer category for Envo is actually Model 3 buyers. So yeah, that makes up the biggest percentage of what they were going to buy. So that's very, very interesting to know. And just going forward, we can tell from the fact that, hey, they're on the right track, all right? They're going to increase growth by 100% very, very soon in 2025. That's what they're targeting. So we are in a new era of growth phase, according to the CEO. And this is going to really change the game. By the end of 2025, in 2026, you're going to see positive profit. That's absolutely spectacular. Once everything is ramped up and once all the optimizations have gone through. So even though this quarter, pretty good revenue, big losses, but going forward, it's really going to pay off. And we can expect NIO to be profitable in 2026. This is spectacular news. Great news, guys. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.